Merry Christmas, everyone. Welcome to Jackalopes of Fire, JoF TV. I'm your host, Scylla, and with me is my brother, Chuck. Merry Christmas, Chuck.
Merry Christmas, Scylla! That's all the enthusiasm I have.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. No, Merry Christmas. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I don't have to work today. It's Christmas Eve, and I'm not working. Daycare's closed.
There you
So
go.
I'm
Now,
I'm great.
I want to point out for our viewers that obviously, once again, we are not in the same room. And the simple explanation for that is it was easier to do a hangout early Christmas Eve morning before I go over for Christmas, because you and I are going to be together for Christmas. I won't be there until later today.
Right, yes. And I have a lot of stuff to do around the house to prepare for Christmas Eve. So me going over there to the studio just wasn't really a feasible idea.
Right. Now, this is probably going to be the last one of this year, I imagine, since we've only got a week to go. The odds of us doing two in 1 week are kind of slim.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, Merry Christmas. We're ringing out the old, and we'll ring in the new with the next cast. So.
Yep.
Yay. So, we were talking a few minutes ago. I've had Santa Baby stuck in my head for like 3 days. I think I woke up Sunday humming it to myself. And you were telling me that there's another song that's stuck in your head?
Yes, and it's alternated. Right now and a couple of days ago, it was the most annoying Christmas song ever, I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas. Yesterday, that song took a break, and it was Jingle Bombs by Ahmed the Dead Terrorist.
At least I'm familiar with Jingle Bombs. I've obviously seen the special, and I know Ahmed, but I have never heard of I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas.
The frickin'
whatever.
Christmas station plays it all the damn time, and since in my classroom I have it on the Christmas station for continuous Christmas carols for the children, I hear it all the time, and I hate that song. It's one of my two least favorite Christmas songs. Right up there with Dominic the Donkey.
I confess that's another one I've never heard of.
Dominic the Italian Christmas Donkey.
Okay.
Weird
I guess he's
song.
kind of like Rudolph, but, in Italy.
Pretty much. The idea of the song is Santa's reindeer can't climb the hills in Italy, so there's Dominic the Donkey.
He saves Christmas. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Boy. Reindeer don't have to climb. They fucking fly.
Exactly.
Magic dust.
I love that one. That's
my all-time favorite Christmas.
That's one of my three. I have three and I can't pick. It's that one, the 12 Days of Christmas by Bob and Doug.
That one's great.
And Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Well, see, the thing about the Cheech and Chong one, Santa Claus and His Old Lady, is what it's called. But the thing about that one is it's not really a song. It's a spoken word sketch. Yeah.
Well, so is the Bob and Doug thing, really. I mean, they sing, but it's really more of a skit.
Right. Whereas Grandma, while it's funny, is a song.
Yes. And Jingle Bombs is quickly rising. I was singing that under my breath yesterday anytime I wasn't around the kids. I was careful not singing in front of the kids because it's not exactly a toddler-friendly song.
Not at all. I also really enjoy the Ray Stevens Santa Claus is Watching You. That one's pretty good. I like the funny Christmas stuff. I like the more serious stuff too. Bruce Springsteen's Santa Claus is Coming to Town that he did live all those many, many years ago. I still love that one. I think that's great. I love
not
Santa
like that
Baby.
One.
Really?
No, I don't like that. I'm not a Springsteen fan to begin with. I don't really like his voice. There's a couple of his songs that he's done over the years that I like, but not many. My favorite Christmas song is still Elvis Presley's version of Blue Christmas.
Really?
Yes.
That shocks me that you prefer that version.
Now, I love the John Bon Jovi version as a fangirl, but Elvis's version is just classic.
Yeah. And that's one of those things now that, like I said, that surprises me, but at least that does show that you see, you tend to go all fangirl. You tend to go very fangirl, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But it does show that you also have a sense of taste when it comes to certain things. It's not just because you're a fan. It's because you actually enjoy it, and in this particular case, that shows that your sense of taste won out over fangirl, and that's pretty
Yes.
cool.
Now, I do.
It's surprising.
Now, when I make a Christmas playlist, both versions are on it, and I
Naturally.
certainly do. And I do certainly love John Bon Jovi's version. I thought he did a very good job as far as that song goes, because I've heard versions of that song that are just terrible. I did think he did a great job. Yes. But he did do a great job. It wasn't Elvis. But who is?
Yeah. That's true. Another good one is Vince Vance and the Valiants, All I Want for Christmas Is You. That's a classic one for me. I love that one.
See, that one, I actually prefer the Leanne Rimes version. I thought she did the best version of that.
See, I've heard the Leanne Rimes version, and don't get me wrong, I love Leanne. She has a great voice, and she is a very good singer. But I think my problem with it is that she's too good of a singer for that song. It's such a kitschy song, and I say that because I remember the video with all that hair. It's just, for me, I don't want a beautiful singer singing that particular song, and I think that's why. So I do prefer the Vince Vance version.
I like her version, but I like Leanne's version of "Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree." That's one of my favorite songs too. I thought she blew that song out of the water.
Yeah, she has a very good version of that. Yeah.
And I actually heard a version of Santa Baby that is now my favorite.
Really?
I used to like Leanne's version of that best as well, but I heard one this year that actually topped it. You haven't heard it because I'm willing to bet you've never heard of the singer. Her name is, I'm going to screw up her last name, I know it, but her name's Jessica Lowndes, I think is how you say her last name. She did a version, she was an actress on 90210, the latest version of it, and she did a version of Santa Baby on the show that I didn't really pay much attention to then because it was part of the show, and songs tend to get lost when they're on a TV show. But I heard the version, a full version of the song just in its entirety on YouTube, and really, really enjoyed it. I thought she did an amazing job, and that's my favorite version of the song now.
I'll have to look it up because I confess I don't know who she is. So
send you a
obviously
link,
I haven't heard it.
I'll send you a link. She's got a very good voice. I actually think she should try for a singing career over acting because she is a good actress, but she's got an amazing voice.
Cool.
Anyway, I'll send you a link. You can check that out. I'll send you the part of a song while I'm at
it. You might as well. That way I know what the hell you're talking about.
Anyway, so those are our favorite Christmas songs.
Favorite and least favorite.
Yes, and
I don't have
favorite.
a least favorite. I don't think I have a least favorite.
You haven't heard the hippopotamus song yet.
That's true. I mean, there's some that I don't really. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever, and move on. But I don't think I've ever had one that's just completely annoyed me.
You probably haven't been in the position to be forced to listen to a specific song.
That's true.
And
so I'll listen to the hippopotamus song, and I'll give you my honest opinion on it.
And then think about being forced to have it on the radio multiple times a day.
I tell you. So it is Christmas Eve. It's the day before
Christmas. It was the
Christmas.
night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a jackalope.
I don't know. I'm probably going to be stirring pretty late tonight. I tend to stay up kind of late.
Yeah,
Um,
well, remember, you have to be up at 4:30 or 5 tomorrow.
I know, but see, the difference there is after breakfast, I'm going to go take a nap. You don't
My
have that
fam,
choice.
we get up absurdly early on Christmas. Always have, always will.
I was going to say, I would like to point out that she's not kidding. 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, there are no kids in this house. She's the youngest, 29 years old, and we still get up at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I have accepted it. The first couple of years, I was like, you people are insane. And I still think you are, but I've gotten used to it now. After 10 years of doing this with y'all, I'm kind of used to it. I'll be honest, I missed it last year. Being in the hospital while y'all were opening presents sucked. Being in the hospital sucks anyway, but being in the hospital on Christmas Day sucked ass.
I believe
So
it.
I'm glad to be spending it with my family this year. It's been a bad year. It's 2013. The last 12 months, so the last half of December last year and all of this year has just sucked. I'm so looking forward to 2014. So much for
Yes.
the year of the Jackalope.
Well, for Jackalopes of Fire, it was a pretty good year.
Oh, it was a good year for Jackalopes of Fire. It really was. We got to do some pretty cool stuff this year, but it was a sucky year for this particular Jackalope.
Overall, I had a pretty good year. I got a really, really good new job. Had the
Yeah.
opportunity to have a panel at Comic-Con, which was amazing for both of us.
Yeah.
Um, So a lot of good stuff happened for me this year, and I am already working on some exciting things for 2014 for both myself and for Jackalopes of Fire, and so um, hopefully bigger things will happen next year for us.
Cool.
That said, one thing I do want to share that I'm working on, and this is no secret because I've talked about it before, it just escalated to a funny point. Um, For over a year now, I have left open invitations for Didio Dan Didio, co-publisher of DC Comics, to join us on Jackalopes of Fire, JoF TV, to tell his side of things. He's basically the most hated man in comic book fandom. I don't think that's much of an exaggeration.
Yeah, I think that's probably very true. Not necessarily the comic book industry, but definitely within the fandom part of it. He is
Yes.
probably the single most hated individual in the fandom.
And many times have given him an open invitation to join us and tell his side of the story, clear up some perhaps misconceptions. And all of my invitations went unanswered until recently. I actually got a response from Mr. Didio himself. Uh, I tweeted the other day saying all I want for Christmas is an interview with Dan Didio. To which Mr. Didio replied something to the effect of, that depends how high you are on Santa's list or if you contact DC Publicity. Something to that effect. And I replied saying that he could join us of his own accord, but I would be happy to contact DC Publicity as well. Obviously, he did not decide to join us out of his own accord.
Obviously.
So I will certainly be making attempts to get that interview through DC Publicity. I do, however, think it was funny that he replied at all.
Yeah, and surprising actually.
So the official word from Didio on a Jackalopes of Fire interview is go through DC Publicity.
Right. If they approve it, he'll do it.
And so it's something that's in the works. Whether it happens or not obviously remains to be seen, but I'm going to do what I can to make it happen.
Cool. Be there with bells on.
Hopefully,
I won't have any bills on.
I have some other interview ideas that I'm hoping to get. I don't want to talk about them in detail because they may or may not come to fruition, but we'll see. Um, some upcoming things for Comic Con for the next year that I have in the works. Um, Basically, when I'm not working with the kids, I'm a busy little beaver, or busy little jackalope, as it were. So,
Sorry. That's funny. Busy little jackalope. So maybe we'll see what happens. Maybe sometime in 2014 we'll be able to sit down with the man himself and honestly hear his side of things, why he makes some of the decisions he's made, and whether or not he truly can be blamed for a lot of the stuff that's been going on, and whether we believe his answers or not.
which is also a good question to ask ourselves.
Right. Yeah. Do you believe what he has to say?
I had a dream about.
I have a dream. I'm sorry.
I had a dream about DC Comics last night.
Oh, really?
I did. We got some. In my dream, we got some of the descriptions for the books that were coming out in 2014, and among them was a lot of things that they weren't switching universes back to New Earth pre-Flashpoint, but they were making some changes that made it more like it used to be. Like they were putting Stephanie Brown as Batgirl again. They were bringing Damian Wayne back from the dead. Nightwing was in his blue suit again. They were making changes within the universe to make it more like New Earth was. And we were recording a podcast reading over this stuff, saying that DC's finally woken up. 2014 is going to be the year of DC's comeback. And then I woke up and realized that that really was a dream because that's never going to happen.
And then you curled up, rolled over on your side, and wept till you went back to sleep?
Something like that.
It was just a dream.
But how sad is it that I have to have dreams about DC being great again?
I don't know that I'd call it sad. It's a little disturbing, but
most of my dreams are disturbing.
Yeah, most of them.
Moving on to some other topics, I want to get a prediction from you.
Okay.
So
I predict. I got nothing.
So tomorrow is the regeneration of the Doctor.
Oh, yes, that's absolutely true. The Christmas special for 2013 is tomorrow, and of course, it will feature the death of the 11th and moving into the 12th Doctor, the 13th life, but he's the 13th incarnation, but he is the 12th Doctor.
Right. Thank you, Mr.
Thanks for
Moffat.
clearing that up, Stephen Moffat. Fucking jackass.
You know, after all of his explanations about that, he ranks only slightly lower on my idiot list than Didio.
And here's the thing. I understand kind of what he's talking about. Yes, it is the 13th official incarnation of the soul that is the Doctor. However, the War Doctor, as we've come to call him, and as he appears in the cast list, is not. He didn't use the name the Doctor. He went by something else, it wasn't until his final moments that he goes, I can finally be the Doctor again, and then he regenerates. So he never is the Doctor. He's the Doctor for like 2 minutes.
I still say that's a cop-out.
Well, the reasoning in my mind, the reason it works is because if he didn't say that, if we accept that he is the 9th Doctor, then all of the media since the series came back is wrong.
And that's the
Because
only,
they're
but that's why he used that, and it's a
right.
cop out.
So you don't have a bunch of reprints.
But that's not where I was going with this. So we have the regeneration of the Doctor tomorrow,
Right.
or today, because hopefully this will be up on Christmas. Um,
Now, I'm going to try and get it up Christmas Eve.
oh, okay.
Because I don't want to have to take my laptop over there.
Okay. So we have the regeneration. What do you have a prediction on what you think is going to lead to the regeneration?
I have two theories. And again, I don't know anything about the Christmas special. I know that they've already talked about who the villain is and things like that. I don't know who it is. I have steered clear of any spoilers whatsoever. The only thing I know about the special is it's going to air tomorrow, and the regeneration will happen.
You've actually managed to avoid seeing all of the publicity posters with the villains?
Yep. Thank you to everybody who has made it very clear in their taglines and everything that this was going to be stuff about the Christmas special. I did not click on anything. There's this one poster that that BBC put out. It was the image, the clickable image is just the picture of Eleven and Clara, and the thing underneath says, if you click it, you'll see who the villain's going to be. So I didn't click it.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know who the villain is. I don't know any details about the special at all. So I do have some theories. They're probably completely wrong. I suspect that I've heard some people speculate that this was of course before they started releasing information about the Christmas episode, because I unfortunately have not had any kind of contact with any of my other Doctor Who fan friends because I'm not around them anymore. But anyway, the speculation I was hearing was that maybe they'll go ahead and find Gallifrey, and in its recovery he will regenerate. And I don't necessarily think that's going to bear out. I think that's going to be the overarching story of the next series.
I agree with that. That's exactly what I think they're going to do in 2014.
Yeah, I think that it'll lead up to the end of 2014 may show Gallifrey coming back, but not this time around. So honestly, I'm not sure what's going to cause the regeneration itself. I'm also curious how much of Peter Capaldi we're going to see. Is it going to be like it has been in previous regenerations, where, the previous two, where we only see him for about that long? He's got just enough time to deliver one line.
That's kind of what I expect. That seems to be the way they do it.
Right, but of course, and RTD was involved in both of the previous regenerations, so Moffat may do something different. Just have to wait and see. But I don't have any strict. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen without giving me any spoilers? It's going to be hard for you, isn't it?
I'm going to say one thing, and I don't think it qualifies as a spoiler. If it does, I apologize.
Well, remember, I consider spoilers to be information that anything that gives information about the plot. So oftentimes casting, like if you say that the Alex Kensington's going to be in it, well, that's a spoiler because now I know River's going to be in it.
Well, I don't know that, and I hope not.
No, I don't think she will be. That's why I gave that as an example. Because the last time I gave one of those examples, it actually happened.
I will
I'll
say
explain that in a moment.
there is more than one villain.
Oh, I assumed there would be. I assumed it would be a big deal. That it wouldn't be just one.
There are multiple, and I think that those multiple are basically going to team up against the Doctor, and it's going to be too much for him. I mean, obviously the Doctor has to eventually win, but I think it's going to cost him his life to do it. Because the number of villains he's going to have to fight is going to be more than he can handle.
Gotcha.
And he's
Okay.
going to save himself, going to save kind of similar. Obviously, it was just the Daleks with the Ninth Doctor, but he ended up giving his life to save Rose and the universe against the Daleks. I think it's
Right.
going to be similar to that. We're just going to see it on a grander scale.
Gotcha. Well, we'll have to wait and see.
That didn't qualify as any spoilers, did it?
I don't think so.
Okay, I did okay then. I was trying
Yeah.
really hard.
You know, some could argue that the whole multiple villains thing is a spoiler, but I'll let that go.
Okay.
Because you didn't tell me who any of them are.
I tried really hard.
Yeah. The one thing I am looking forward to, and not necessarily with tomorrow's episode, but in the coming season or years down the road, once they do locate Gallifrey, which I have to assume is going to happen in 2014, I can't imagine that they'll drag that out longer
It would
than
be
one
really,
season.
really dumb to drag it out longer than that.
It really would be. Number one, you never know what's going to happen. 2015, they may decide, we've had a good run, let's end it now. I don't expect that, but you never know. Considering it's just gaining momentum, I don't see it going away in 2015. But the one thing I am looking forward to is with the rescuing of Gallifrey, it sets up the opportunity to bring the Master back.
Yes, it does.
I've always loved the Master. He's one of my favorite Doctor Who villains. I prefer the original Roger Delgado Master, but of course he's dead, so he can't come back. And I wanted John Sims to be a little more slick than he was. He's just insane in his most recent incarnation.
Well, I think that was the point, though, is the Master has gone so far beyond his allotted regenerations and had to do so much to stay alive that it's messed with his mind. He is insane now.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. And I'm kind of hoping that I'm hoping one of two things. Him going back to Gallifrey, because he got sucked in. The assumption is that he's with Rassilon in that moment in time. So the hope there is that by freeing Gallifrey from that moment in time, Rassilon and the Master both get released. Would love to see Timothy Dalton in a recurring as Rassilon, and would love to see the Master come back. And hopefully, like I said, one of two things. Either one, it clears up his insanity, but he's still that really classic, awesome Master. Or it not only clears up his insanity, but it kind of fixes what's broken in his head and makes him more Time Lordy. Not necessarily like the Doctor, because the Doctor's a renegade. The Doctor's a rogue. He doesn't like the Time Lords. Not really. He appreciates the concept of family and country, but not necessarily the individuals that run the society. But I would love to see the Master more in line with the classic Time Lords, maybe even becoming not necessarily High Lord President, but Chancellor or something in Time Lord society, and him having to butt heads with the Doctor. I think that would be kind of interesting.
I would like to see a regenerated Master. Maybe the Time Lords grant him a new set of lives or something, and we see a regeneration, because I think it's time for a new Master.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not really keen on John Sims. I don't think he delivered, even in the first time we saw him during Martha's season. I didn't really. Meh.
I liked him okay then. I didn't like his first or his second or his most recent time back. Um, but either way, the Doctor's regenerated now twice since then. I think it's time for a regenerated Master.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see. But either way, I want to see the Master back, and I want to
Yes.
see somebody. Now that's something that Benedict Cumberbatch could do. He's already said that he won't do the Doctor, but he could do a good Master. Anyway, I like that actor. Do you know who Benedict Cumberbatch is?
No.
Okay. You saw the new Star Trek with us. He's Khan. He's the
Oh,
bad
okay.
guy. Yeah. He's also Sherlock in the BBC Sherlock series.
Okay.
So,
So those are our Doctor Who predictions. Now,
which ain't much.
which ain't much. But now I'd like to actually switch gears to something not fandom related, but that is all over the frickin' media.
Wait. Oh no, that's okay. Go ahead. You're not going to talk about Duck Dynasty. You're going to talk about something else.
No, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, we are going to talk about. Okay, go ahead.
That
I'm
is exactly
surprised.
where I'm going. Duck Dynasty. We have all kinds of other crap happening in the world right now, but Duck Dynasty seems to be what we're all fixated on.
Yep. There's so much wrong in this world, and the comments that one guy made in his backyard is the talk of the town.
Never mind what's happening in the government. Oh, no, 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 no. Duck Dynasty. That's the big story here.
That's right. Well, there's nothing to see here. Move along. Oh, look, this guy's outrageous. Talk about him.
And I really do feel like that's what's happening because I've seen some of the crap that's happening in Washington right now, which I won't get into because obviously nobody cares.
Right, yeah.
They're all talking
that's the
about Duck
thing.
Dynasty.
We're just as bad. We're going to talk about Duck Dynasty and not what's going on in the government.
I will say this. You might want to stop paying attention to Duck Dynasty and turn on Fox News or something and, see what's happening in the government because that kind of matters a little bit more.
Yeah.
But moving on to Duck Dynasty. So he made some comments about homosexuality being a sin. First of all, I want to say, do I personally share his viewpoint? Absolutely not. I don't agree with what he said. I think he made him sound like an ignorant redneck, but we live in America, and it is his prerogative to say whatever his opinion may be.
Did you actually read the article that they were quoting?
I didn't read the whole article. I read those specific quotes. And
I read the entire GQ article.
And I know that he didn't say anything hateful in there. Which
He did not.
Which is why I don't have a problem with his opinion, because it wasn't a hateful opinion.
And I'll have to go back, but I don't believe he actually called it a sin anywhere in that, or at least he wasn't quoted. All he said was, I don't understand it. I think a vagina is better than an anus.
No, he said that too, but he listed off things that he considered to be sinful, and that was in a list of a bunch of different things he listed.
You're right. I apologize. He did talk about the bestiality, homosexuality, and a couple other things that are sinful according to the Bible.
He didn't compare homosexuality to bestiality like a lot of people are saying he did. He was listing off a list of sins.
Exactly. Yeah, sins that are, in his mind as a Christian, and based on information provided in the Bible, these are sins. And homosexuality is a sin according to the Bible. So is bestiality, so is murder, all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of sins in the Bible.
Infidelity, he mentioned infidelity in there.
Yeah, exactly.
He was listing things that he considers to be sinful. Again, I don't agree that homosexuality is... First of all, I'm not a Christian, so the concept of sin for me is a little different. But I don't believe homosexuality is wrong in the eyes of the god or the goddess or whatever greater power is there.
Right.
I think it's just a different way, just a different love. I mean,
You
it's
know,
just different.
I was raised as a Christian, so I have that Christian background. The concept of sin to me is a little stupid. Um, the concept of sin, kind of the way I've always interpreted it, and whether people agree with me or not, I don't really care. Um, Sin is a human concept. It is very much that's not what we want you to do, so that's a sin. Um, to me, sin should be the evilness that's in the world. Murder, murder, killing someone for the sake of killing them is a sin. Um, Treating people um, who are different from you as if they were dirt, to me, that's a sin. It's all about the evilness that's in the world. So homosexuality, why is it? How can that possibly be a sin? That's loving someone. That's nothing but love. You know, it's the epitome of loving someone. Um, that to me, that is very much the exact opposite of being a sin. So no, don't agree with the viewpoint. However, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. There you are.
I didn't know if you were done.
No, no. But yeah, I thought you froze. Um, but anyway, I lost me. I hate it when that happens.
You don't agree with his viewpoint, however.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't agree with his viewpoint. However, the media shitstorm that has started because of his viewpoint is very starting to piss me off.
Me too, and I think that A&E was wrong to um, basically exile him from his show for it.
Yeah.
Honestly, A&E is, what did you expect? Look at who he is.
Yeah, really. It's such a stupid thing.
It's
So
like,
okay,
what were
so
you expecting? Look at who he is, where he's from, what he does, what his faith is, and you didn't expect this to eventually happen?
yeah. So we've talked around it a little bit, but so basically what happened is Phil Robertson, patriarch of the Robertson clan, and that's the family that is focused on in the series Duck Dynasty on A&E. Phil Robertson said some unpopular things about his viewpoints in the world, and homosexuality happened to be mentioned in it. He said that during an interview with GQ. He didn't say it on the air. During the show, he didn't say it as a representative of Duck Dynasty or A&E. He just said it. He was sitting in his backyard and said it.
And I have to add this part. He was asked a question. I can't help but feel it was a setup by the interviewer. The interviewer had to know the type of thing he was going to answer that question with and the kind of media storm that was going to come of it. I honestly feel like it was a setup.
Yeah, this is going to get me. This is going to get people to read my article. It's going to get people talking about my article. It's going to get my name out there in the world and give me more credibility as a journalist. And that's probably where that came from. I agree with that. It's a bullshit maneuver, and it's set up Phil. So in response to the backlash, not the statement, but the backlash from the article itself, A&E decided we're not going to have him on the show anymore. So they indefinitely suspended Phil from Duck Dynasty. To which his family has responded, well, I'm not sure that we can continue this show without the dad.
And
So the
then
Robertson clan. Go ahead.
They tried to cancel the show themselves altogether, to which Annie responded, "Oh no, you don't. You're under contract. You have to continue."
Yeah, but and that's fine. But the thing is, if A&E forces them to continue the show, they're not gonna like how it turns out. There's not gonna be any usable footage. Those guys, you can't force a bunch of rednecks to do something they don't want to do.
Oh, I
You're gonna
smell a lawsuit coming so big from A&E if they do that.
yeah,
Breach
it's
of
gonna be
contract.
it's not well. They don't have to breach contract. All they have to do is be themselves. But A&E's not gonna be able to use any footage.
Yeah, and if they don't have usable footage, A&E's going to sue them for breach of contract.
It's not breach of contract if they're in good faith letting the cameras come in and record. Because the whole thing is, the whole point of the series is the cameras follow them around and just record their antics.
But Phil himself has come out and said that the show was staged.
Some parts of it are. Because they go, oh man, that was funny. Let's recreate that so that the audience sees what happened there. But yeah, the all of them have said yes, we do stage a lot of that stuff because something happens and we have to recreate it. And it's a little strange for them to have conversations they've already had. Yeah, they've all talked about that.
I just think that it's going to continue to get messier.
Yeah, it's going to get a lot messier before it gets fixed.
And A&E needs to just back off because honestly what it comes down to, and I like this quote, I'm going to misquote it, but the intent is still there. It's to the effect of, I may not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend to your death the right to say it. And that is exactly how I feel about this situation. I could not disagree more with what he said if I tried. But thank God we live in a country where we have free speech and he has every right to have his own opinion.
Right. Now, here's the thing about free speech. I saw this somewhere else, and I forget who wrote it then, so I'm probably going to misquote it. But the thing about free speech is it guarantees you the right to not be legally persecuted for anything you have to say. It does not guarantee you the right to be able to keep your job, as I well know. So, you know, A&E has a right to terminate him.
No, they absolutely do, but my problem with it is he didn't say anything vulgar.
Right.
Not overly so, anyway. He didn't say anything even hateful. He didn't curse. He didn't cuss. He didn't say that. He didn't even say that he hated homosexuals. He actually took the stance of it was God's place to judge, just that he considered
we don't
it
judge.
to be a sin.
Yeah, exactly. He says flat out, we don't judge. We try to teach them what we believe is the true way, and you know they have to make that decision, and it's up to God to judge, not us. We just love them anyway.
Exactly. He didn't use any hate speech, slurs, or anything of that sort. So when you're talking about just sharing a simple opinion, I don't see the problem. Now, had he used had he referred to them as fags or said that he hated homosexuals or anything hateful, then I can see the backlash. Then it would make sense. Okay, get him off the show. But just for having an opinion, that seems wrong to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree. Especially when you consider that this is an opinion that everybody who's ever watched the show knows they have. Everybody on that show has this opinion because they are very much a I hate to call them fundamentalist Christian because they're not that crazy. But everybody on that show has very deep-seated Christian values.
Hell, I've never
So
watched that show, and I could have guessed he had that opinion.
right, yeah, exactly. So to be suspended for simply vocalizing that opinion in a very respectful way, honestly, he wasn't being an ass about it. He was simply saying, "I don't get it. It's not for me. I don't get it." And then later on saying, these are the things that we feel are sins and blah 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 blah. It's
The
so
thing that I
stupid.
actually, I do think this has gotten too much media attention, and I'm actually going to wrap this up because I don't want to give it too much attention either. Uh, um, that said, it does make me feel a little bit better that there's a backlash on the backlash.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll say this: I posted on Facebook about it, and you hear about all these intolerant pricks, and they're how can they not accept homosexuality and blah 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 blah. Um, you know, there's two sides of that. For me, this is showing just how intolerant the LGBT community can be. They, they get so angry at people who don't toe the line and go, "Oh yeah, you're homosexual, cool." You know, Personally, I think that there's nothing wrong with whatever choices anybody makes for their lifestyle. If they're not hurting me or someone else, I don't give a shit what you do. But that that being said, you don't necessarily have the right to lash out at someone because they don't agree with your lifestyle. That's bullshit.
Exactly. If they're not hating on you and they just disagree, they have a right to disagree.
Yeah,
Again, there was
it's very
no,
much a pot calling kettle black situation.
and I just can't stress this part enough. Had there been any hate speech or slurs used, it would be a completely different conversation. The fact that he was so respectful in disagreeing is what I feel is the real issue here, because he
Yeah,
wasn't hateful at all.
yeah, I agree. So anyway, shame on A&E. Shame on the extremely vocal, if small, pocket of the LGBT community that has started all this crap.
And shame on the
And
interviewer for starting all of this.
yeah, for setting him up because you know what happened. All right, here's my interview. I'm going to use the most outrageous things he said in this article, and then I'm going to notify everybody that he said these things, and it's going to catch on like wildfire, and it did. He's smart, but he's a dick.
Yeah. And now, switching gears, I would like to call shame on another institution as well. I promised my mother
Speaking
I
of
would.
dicks.
Yes. I was supposed to talk about this in the last podcast, and we had too much to talk about, and I got all kinds of crap for not bringing this up last time. So this is for my mother. And I actually agree. Shame on UT. Why, you may ask? It has nothing to do with their football program, so Texans, chill out. Um, there was...
Excuse me. Shame on the University of Texas, not the University of Tennessee.
Oh,
Go ahead.
yes. Yes.
Very specifically that UT. Shame on the University of Texas.
Yes.
Now continue.
So there was a painting that Andy Warhol did of Farrah Fawcett that was that both UT thought they deserved to have since she left all of her art to UT in her will, and that Ryan O'Neal thought that he should have. And so they went to court about it. The jury found in Ryan O'Neal's favor, and he has possession of the painting, and UT does not. Smart jury.
Well, hang on. Let's back this up. So this is one of those stories that you have to tell from the beginning. So Andy Warhol painted a painting, because that's what you do with paintings, of Farrah Fawcett. There are 2 copies of the painting. One was given to Farrah, one was given to Ryan O'Neal. Farrah Fawcett died, and in her will bequeathed her entire art collection to the University of Texas. That's her alma mater. Somebody, one of Farrah's ex-boyfriends, saw the painting and said, hey, you know, there's another copy of that. And Ryan O'Neal has it. Well, when UT found out about this, they got all up in a huff and said, but that belongs to us. It's you know, it's one of Farrah's art pieces. And it was further complicated by the fact that it was in Farrah's possession for like 10 years. It was hanging in her home, in her collection, after she and Ryan broke up. Now, and Ryan was not mentioned anywhere in her will. She did not leave anything to him. But after her death, he did go and retrieve the painting and took it home. And so UT sued Ryan O'Neal.
Well,
right, yes.
With the executive's permission. He didn't just walk in and randomly take the painting. He had permission to take it.
Right. In the original news article that I read, it never mentioned that he went and talked to the executor of the estate and said, here's the deal. And the executor of the estate, the guy whose responsibility is to make sure that the will gets carried out correctly, said, yep, you're golden. So at that point, that painting was no longer part of Farrah's art collection. It never technically was, so it was given back to Ryan O'Neal because it was his painting. Now, when I made my first opinion, I didn't know that part. I didn't know that he actually went through the proper channels to make sure he got it back legally. I was because the article I read made the impression that he just walked in and took it, and that's different. But yeah, so UT finds out about it. They sued Ryan O'Neal and had to go to court over it. And like you said, the jury did find in the favor of Ryan, so he is able to keep the painting. But yeah,
now,
go ahead.
My issue with this in the first place is, okay, even if it was Farrah's, which we've all determined it's not, but even if it were, UT has a copy of the painting.
Right.
This painting was originally given to Ryan O'Neal. It means a lot to him. It's something that he has, the only thing he has left of her now that she is passed. Means a lot to him and his family. So let it go. It's one piece that obviously has a great sentimental value to him.
Right. Now, it should be noted that when the piece got appraised, it's been appraised at least 2 different rates from what we were discussing, because we talked about this on Sunday. It was appraised at 2 different levels.
2 largely different levels.
Yeah, considerably different. UT's appraisers said that the painting was going to be worth $18 million. And for an $18 million painting, I don't care how much sentimental value it is. If I feel I have a right to it, then I'm going to try and pursue that right. So from that point of view, I do understand UT's position. They thought that it was part of Farrah's collection, and because of her will, it should belong to them. And it's worth $18 million. Hell yeah, we're going to sue for it. So I kind of understand that. However, like you said, number one, there's multiple versions of the painting. It's not like it's a unique print. There are at least 2 copies of it. And number 2, there's another appraiser who only appraised it at like $2 million. And for me, that's a little weird. Why is there a $16 million difference in the appraisals? You know, from 2 supposed experts in the field, and it sort of suggests that UT has their appraiser upping the value of their stuff, and that's not cool.
No, it's not, and shame on UT for that too.
Right.
I think they were wrong to put Ryan O'Neal through all of this.
I do tend to agree with that. And for the same reasons that you said, regardless of the legal point of view, who should it belong to legally? Regardless of that, I think that okay, I've got a copy, you've got a copy, your copy is very sentimental to you. Tell you what, and if I'd been UT, here's exactly how I'd have done it. Tell you what, Ryan. We're going to not pursue this matter at all. We'll drop the matter completely, provided when you pass, your will bequeaths that copy to the University of Texas. I think that would have solved the whole thing. Wouldn't have had to go to court, wouldn't have had to do anything. UT would have eventually gotten the painting anyway, and everybody would have been satisfied. I think that's the fair way to do that. If they honestly thought that the painting should belong to them because of the stipulations of Ferris' will. Now, obviously, the jury found in Ryan's favor, so that's not going to have to happen at this point. But had UT come to him that way in the first place, I think that this would have been a much happier outcome for everybody. There wouldn't have had to have been a lawsuit or a trial or anything like that. It would have just been, okay. Because I would almost bet that Ryan O'Neal would have gone, you know what, that sounds fair. Let's do that. That's just me.
Did Ryan O'Neal and Farrah Fawcett have any children together?
I don't believe they did. I think they were together for quite a while, but I don't believe they had any joint children.
Actually, let's see.
Because if they did, then yes, the kids should get the painting.
Yes, they do have a child together.
Oh, okay. Well, then that child should get the painting now.
Yes. And that's what I thought I remembered hearing. I thought I remembered hearing they had a son together, and that not only did Ryan want it for him, but for his son. I just confirmed that that is the case. So I don't think that should have happened. I think they should have just left that painting with the family anyway. When Ryan passes, it should go to his and Farrah's son.
Well, but again, and remember, what I'm talking about here is UT feels they have a right to it. Instead of taking him to court over it, that would have been a reasonable solution to the issue.
But see, again, I don't think UC should have pursued it anyway. There are two copies of the painting. They should have just left that one with the family.
And
that would have been the right
heartstrings, that would have been the morally correct thing to do. You're absolutely right. But we're talking about a corporation. Yes, it's the University of Texas, but they're a corporation. They have people who make decisions from a strictly monetary point of view. Having both copies of the painting in their possession and on display would have been better for them monetarily.
Doesn't make it right, and
you're right. Right, and these are two different things. There's the moral point of view, and then there's the let's make money point of view. So I do understand where they're coming from, but you're right. Morally speaking, they should never have pursued this at all. They should have gone, oh, really? There's two copies? Good for him. And moved on.
And so I stick by what I said. Shame on UT.
Absolutely. Shame on UT. They're a bunch of dicks. But, that's the way it is.
But thankfully, a jury found in Ryan's favor. He and his son will keep that painting. And I believe they're due in court in January about a tablecloth.
I'm sorry, a tablecloth?
I think it's a tablecloth. I think Andy Warhol did some sort of tablecloth, and Ryan wants that too.
A tablecloth.
I believe it's a tablecloth. Let me verify that.
Are you sure that they didn't say tableau?
Let's see.
What are those big things that you hang on the wall? Tapestry. All right, maybe it was a tapestry. Tapestry makes more sense.
Tapestry does make more sense, but I'm almost positive it said tablecloth. But let me verify that. Let's see. Um, if I can find the article that I read that said that. Um,
Tablecloth.
yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just, oh, here we go. January hearing. Let's see. A tablecloth. The jury also determined a tablecloth that Warhol drew hearts on and gave to Farrah Fawcett and O'Neill was jointly owned by the couple. The tablecloth was given to UT, and O'Neill has said he wants it back. Superior Court Judge William McLaughlin said he will decide what should happen to that item during the January hearing.
So because Andy Warhol drew some hearts on it, it's now a work of art.
Yes. So I was right. It is a tablecloth. And again, while I don't necessarily think this has quite the same sentimental value, I do think UT should let it go. If it was jointly owned by Fawcett and O'Neill, then he's the only
With the
living
death of
one
one,
left.
exactly. With the death of one, it becomes Ryan O'Neill's property.
Right. So he should win that too. I'm not as concerned about that one. I really had strong feelings about the painting. This just seems stupid. I understand Ryan going to court if it is sentimental to him. It might have some good memories from him and Farrah, and he wants it for those reasons. Again, UT's stupid to pursue it.
And it seems to me that they're more concerned about the fact that it's an Andy Warhol original than it belonging to Farrah or Ryan.
Exactly.
It's because it's an Andy Warhol that they're fighting so hard. I mean, let's face it, original Andy Warhol prints are fairly valuable.
I think UT wants it because of Warhol. I don't think that's why Ryan's interested in it.
It's hard to tell. And you got to remember, they had not been together for 10 years. Yes, they were still friends, but they weren't romantically involved for over 10 years because he cheated on her. I'm not sure how much of his heartbreak over her passing is genuine. I don't know. It's impossible for me to know the mind of another man. If nothing all I can do is
they have a child together, so that means something right there.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that some of this stuff wasn't left to the kid.
Yes.
Her entire art collection being left to UT, knowing that she has kids, that surprised me anyway. It's a little weird to me.
Anyway.
But my other problem with this is that Ryan was completely left out of the will.
But he was, if I recall, and it's been a while, and there were other news stories going on around the time of her death, but I want to say I remember him being with her at the end a lot. Like
I said, they were still very close friends. They had fixed a lot of their relationship from a friend point of view. So yes, they were close, and he was with her when she passed.
He clearly still cared about her very much.
Yeah.
I honestly, based on his reaction to her death, felt like he still loved her. I don't think they ever could have been together again because he cheated on her, and I think that was probably more her call than his to not have a relationship anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he still very much loves her.
Yeah, and yeah, again, I don't know how much of this is out of love and how much of it is out of, you know, a concept of possession, you know?
And it
And
could go either way. I still think UT's wrong.
I think it's a stupid story. It's one of those things where people are going to look back and go, why the hell did this even happen? And I think that a lot of times when you see these lawsuits going on, you got to go, what the fuck were you thinking? Why did you even bring this up? Why did you fight this so hard? Um, although, one of the things that you hear cited a lot with lawsuits in particular is the lady that sued McDonald's.
Yes.
Now, so let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about this because I just found out some interesting things about that particular case. So when it first happened, how old were you? You were, what, 10?
I was
Let's see.
young,
Yeah, it
but
would have been.
I've read
I
a
want to.
lot about it since, and specifics that aren't usually covered in the media. Because there are
Right.
aspects of it that weren't covered very well.
Or at all, because when I first heard about the story, it was lady goes to the drive-through at McDonald's, orders coffee, sticks the coffee between her legs, drives off, coffee spills, she burns herself, she sues McDonald's, and wins. And there's a couple things here. First of all, the jury suggested this much money for medical costs and this much money for punitive damages, and the total thing came out to like $2.7 million, all told. The judge said, "No, that's a bit much. We're gonna award, I think, 600,000 is what it came out to," and a good chunk of that was medical expenses. It wasn't just punitive damages. It was a good chunk of that was medical expenses, which it was clear that McDonald's should have paid because the coffee was too goddamn hot. McDonald's, and it was the industry standard at the time. The policy was 180 degrees. Somewhere between 180 and 190 degrees is how hot McDonald's was serving their coffee at that time. It has been lowered by 10 degrees. It's now 170 to 180. But something you never really hear about is, first of all, she wasn't driving. The car wasn't moving. She was with her grandson. They pulled through the drive-through to get some breakfast, pulled over into a parking spot so she could fix her coffee. And yes, there was no place to set it, so she did have it kind of braced between her knees. And when she went to open the lid, the coffee spilled everywhere. And she had third-degree burns over something like 16% of her body. I've seen pictures of the burns, and it's horrendous how badly she was burned in her thighs and crotch area. And the skin grafts that they had to take skin from the outside of her leg to close off the burns, the wounds from the burn. As it was a terrible thing, and all she did was contact McDonald's and say, "I'd like you to pay my medical bills." That's all she ever wanted, because it was a very expensive thing. She's 79 years old at the time. It was an expensive thing to have to go through. And McDonald's sent her a check for $800. She had thousands upon thousands of dollars in medical bills because of the surgery she had to go through and everything. And $800 is all McDonald's gave her. She talked to a lawyer. She says, "What can I do here?" And they sued, and all they asked for was cover my medical expenses. That's all that they sued her for, or sued McDonald's for. They never asked for the punitive damages. That was something that the jury said, yes, we want you to pay the medical bills, but we also want you to give this woman $2.6 million on top of the medical bills. And again, the judge said that's excessive. Let's back that up. But all you ever heard about was she spilled the coffee on herself, sued McDonald's, and got $2.7 million out of it. And that's not exactly how that happened.
No,
So
there
you
was
also,
definitely another side to that story.
right, and so that's something that you don't hear about a lot, is there's always multiple sides, and it's very hard as a public that we don't have all the answers to make these decisions sometimes. Sometimes the people that we vilify weren't the ones in the wrong here, because and she was vilified for this frivolous lawsuit, and her particular lawsuit has been used as an example of frivolous lawsuits for 20 damn years now, and that's not what happened, and I feel very ashamed that even I made jokes about it growing up without having the knowledge of both sides of the story. The good news about that is in today's society, there's so many people reporting on things, and not all of it's just repeating what somebody else said. As a society, we're very quick to go, wait, let's get more information about that. And for example, the Paul Walker death thing. TMZ was the only people reporting on Paul Walker's death for hours. And so nobody wanted to believe it because only one person was reporting. Everybody else that reported on it was simply re-quoting TMZ. So it all led back to this one source. And until the major news sources picked up the story, nobody really believed that Paul Walker was dead.
TMZ, when it comes to celebrity deaths, I believe them because they were also the first ones to report on Michael Jackson's death before anybody did.
Right. Somehow they're always there. That's very suspicious.
TMZ is very quick on celebrity deaths. Twitter will kill a celebrity for anything. You'll see people posting on Twitter just to get a trending topic started. Twitter has killed so many celebrities that aren't dead.
Yeah, I can't count the number of times that I've celebrated Justin Bieber's death. That's terrible. I'm sorry. I have never said wahoo over anybody dying. I'm kidding. It's a joke. I don't like Justin Bieber's music. I don't care about him as an individual, but I certainly would never celebrate the death of anybody. I think that. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So if
I realize what a terrible thing that was to say.
If somebody dies, or if somebody on Twitter says somebody died, rather, and Twitter is the only source, I tend to not believe it. If TMZ says somebody died and they're the only source, I tend to believe it and just wait for the other sources to catch up, because TMZ's never been wrong on a celebrity death, and they very frequently have been the first to report on it.
My problem with TMZ is that they're so... God, they're sleazy.
They are very sleazy, but that's one thing they've always been right on.
Yeah, you're right. I give you that. Every death that I've seen them announce has been a real death. So I don't know. But anyway, my point though is that as a society, we do try to get more confirmation than just suddenly make decisions and judgments, and not just. And the death is just one example of that. Excuse me. There are other news stories that I think that we all go, let's get more information about that before I make this opinion. Now, there are some crazies out there who would just make a snap opinion based on 2 lines of text, but what are you going to do?
Right.
So, but anyway.
So,
shame on A&E, shame on UT. Shame on McDonald's.
Yeah. Shame.
Shame. This is our naughty list for the year.
Your
apparently.
stockings.
That's right. Absolutely.
And coal for Didio too.
That's right. There was something else I was going to mention. Oh, back to Christmas. Let's talk a little more about Christmas. You'll notice that you and I, we're very much a Merry Christmas kind of group. We don't do the Happy Holidays crap. A lot of people...
And I'd like to point out that I say Merry Christmas, and I do that, and I'm not Christian, and it doesn't offend me.
Right. And
I just want to point this out.
And I think that's because there's two different versions of Christmas out there. There's the traditional religious Christmas, which stole its traditions from other things. And then there's the more secular Christmas, meaning it doesn't really have anything to do with the religion at all. It's all about Santa presents and family. And that's more the Christmas that we talk about.
Yes.
We're
I certainly don't
while
celebrate the birth of Jesus. That's for sure.
Yeah. Like I said, I've mentioned before, and I'm okay with admitting it. I was raised as a Christian. I was raised in a Baptist church, and so my tendencies are towards the religious side of things sometimes. But I'm also a little more realistic about my religious views. But Christmas is for me and my family, it really is more of a secular thing. It's time to get together with family and celebrate that closeness that we do have, such as it is. It's a time to exchange gifts in a way of saying I love you and I got this for you, and and that's all there is to it. That's what we mean by Merry Christmas. So Merry Christmas. Not Happy Holidays. I hate that crap. Just tell me whatever you want to really say. Are you Jewish? Well, then say Happy Hanukkah to me. I'm okay with that. You're not going to offend me by wishing me a Happy Hanukkah, a Happy Kwanzaa, Happy
Solstice.
Yeah, Solstice. God, there's another one that
Yule.
Festivus. Happy Festivus for the rest of us. That's fine. Whatever. Go ahead. You're not going to offend me. I'm going to say Merry Christmas. You say whatever the hell you want to.
Yeah, if you want to get technical, I really celebrate solstice more than Christmas, as it were.
Well, you're a couple of days late on the solstice.
So, and you'll notice on Facebook I did post
Yes,
a happy solstice.
Yes, you did.
But because December 25th is the accepted day of celebration, I'm fine with celebrating my holiday on that day. I've pretty much just consider it conforming to society, and sometimes that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not always a bad thing. Now, speaking of Christmas, have you watched any Christmas movies yet?
Absolutely. I actually watched Chipmunk's Christmas and Shrek the Halls yesterday. Today I'm going to watch The Year Without Santa Claus. I've watched The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause.
I've never seen that one. I've only seen the first two.
Very good. It's fun to watch them as a trilogy.
Yeah, I imagine.
So yes, I've definitely seen my share of Christmas movies, and then of course Jeff Dunham's Christmas special, which I consider to be an essential part of my Christmas watching every year now.
Gotcha. For me, I've done my traditional Christmas movies. Die Hard. I love people that give me shit about that. Die Hard is a Christmas movie, whether you like it or not.
How is Die Hard a Christmas movie? I've heard this before. Please explain this to me.
Have you never seen Die Hard?
I have not.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie because it occurs on like the 23rd of December. It is Christmas. It's McClane has flown to L.A. to be with his wife for Christmas, his wife and his kids. For Christmas, and he's going to this Christmas party that they're all at, and during the party is when the hostage situation takes place. So it is Christmas. That's the whole reason it's a Christmas movie.
Okay.
There's tinsel and trees and ho ho hos, and it was released on Christmas Day. It's a Christmas movie.
Well. My favorite Christmas movie is still The Year Without Santa Claus. I like the Miser Brothers.
My favorite Christmas movie has always been, since it came out, The Muppet Christmas Carol. I love the Christmas Carol anyway, and the multiple versions of it that are out there. Scrooge, the Christmas Carol with George C. Scott, Scrooged with Bill Murray. I love that version. But The Muppet Christmas Carol is my favorite because it's got two of my favorite things, well, three. It's got the Muppets, of course. It's got Michael Caine, who's a great actor, as Ebenezer Scrooge, and it's A Christmas Carol, which is a classic Christmas story. And if you've never read it, if you've only seen it performed, then go and read it. It's actually a very good, well-written story. It is steeped in Victorian London, but it's still very good.
I like the Muppet Christmas Carol, and up until the last fairly recently, I guess not too recently, it was my favorite version of it. Then I saw the version with Patrick Stewart as Scrooge.
He also does a very good version, yeah.
That is my favorite version of the Christmas Carol. I know it's kind of childish, but I also like the Disney Christmas Carol.
Mickey's Christmas Carol?
Yes.
I love Mickey's Christmas Carol with Uncle Scrooge as Ebenezer. Absolutely.
Yes. I love
great.
that.
There's nothing childish about that. I love the Muppets. What's childish about that? Now it's not my favorite Disney holiday thing. As much as I do love that, I actually prefer the Disney version of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. But because I love the Headless Horseman. But yeah, absolutely, the Mickey's Christmas Carol is great. And it's not quite as dark as some of the others can be.
No, so. And Scrooge as Scrooge is just perfect.
Yeah, absolutely, really is. What was the? Oh, I forget what I was going to say there. Anyway.
And then also there is a Barbie version of A Christmas Carol, which I really do recommend for little girls. Again,
for little girls, I'm sure it's fine. Yeah.
It's not dark at all. It's very as cutesy as you can make A Christmas Carol, and bear in mind what that is.
Sure.
And I'm still kind of have that little girl side of me where I like cutesy, colorful, pretty things, so I enjoy it. Definitely not much of a family movie unless you have little girls or a little girl inside you.
Of course, we also have to talk about some of the classic TV specials: the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, the Charlie Brown Christmas special,
Shrek the Halls.
Shrek the Halls is not one of the classic ones, though. It is very good. You're absolutely right. It's very
a new
good.
Classic.
It's going to become a classic. But when I talk about classics, I think of things that were already there when we were kids.
Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah, I love Frosty the Snowman. The one that I haven't seen in years, but I still recall very clearly, back in the day when the California Raisins were... I don't know what happened there. All of a sudden, the California Raisins were the pop culture icons.
Right?
And they actually had a claymation Christmas, California Raisins claymation Christmas, and it was great. They had a great couple of really funky, jazzy Motown kind of song, traditional Christmas songs with a Motown feel to them, and they did a fantastic job. It was always one of the more interesting things. They were the California Raisins, but they were very Motown, which is Detroit.
If you want like something that's so 80s and Christmassy that it's just insane, He-Man and She-Ra's Christmas special.
Yep, He-Man and She-Ra's Christmas special is one of the most 80s things you're going to find out there.
It's great. It's so cheesy, but it's
cheesy.
Great.
Oh my God, it's so cheesy. I remember when that first came out.
I actually watched it last Christmas because it was on Netflix.
There you go. It probably is again. Speaking of Netflix, if you are looking for if you're like us and you like to hear the roaring fire when you're opening your presents and maybe some Christmas music, Netflix does have an HD Yule log burning So basically, it's just a log on a screen burning in a fireplace. But it also is being backed by traditional Christmas carols. So
Yes, there's a version without the Christmas music and with the Christmas music. There's three
there,
versions total, and one does have Christmas music.
there
Um,
you go.
and so, yeah, it's probably what we'll have on tomorrow morning.
I don't know about where y'all are living and things like that, but Time Warner Cable here in Austin does have or did last year. I haven't checked to see if it's going to do it again this year, but they had a 3D. I'm sorry, 2 years ago. They had a 3D Yule log. You could actually bring it up. So if you have a 3D enabled TV, you could bring up the Yule log in 3D and watch it in 3D. I'm like, why would you do that? Who the hell wants to wear 3D glasses all day watching the goddamn Yule log burn?
Right? There are a lot of local stations that will have a Yule log on. I know in LA I couldn't tell you the name of the station, but I know there is one with music by KOST in the background. I know this because I have no radio in my car currently. So to get music, I've had to listen to my phone. I downloaded the iHeartRadio app and was looking for a station with Christmas music and found KOST in Los Angeles. And come to find that I actually quite like that station. Not just the music, although it does sound like their format when they switch out of Christmas music back to regular is going to be right up my alley. They play a lot of all pop music, classic pop music, Elton John, Madonna, Wham, that kind of stuff. But they're DJs. It's very rare to find a DJ that doesn't make me roll my eyes. All the ones in Austin do. I
Yeah,
can't listen to Austin radio.
there's not a good DJ in Austin. There just isn't.
But pretty much everyone that I've heard on KOST makes me not want to change the station. Like, they're actually interesting and not retards. So if you want to listen to some good music and you have a smartphone, download the iHeartRadio app and tune into KOST. Also, it's fun as hell to listen to the Los Angeles traffic report. It makes me grateful I live in Austin.
Yeah, our rush hour, as they call it takes you 20 minutes to get across downtown. Well, it takes you 45 minutes to get across downtown as opposed to the 10 minutes that it does in good traffic. Whereas in LA, you'll sit there for 3 hours.
And that's my go-to answer now. When an Austinite complains to me about the traffic, I'm like, go listen to the Los Angeles traffic report and then complain.
Yeah, absolutely. I've driven in Los Angeles during heavy traffic flows, and it wasn't even rush hour. It was middle of the day on a Friday. It wasn't rush hour yet, and they were talking about just jam packed, and they said it's just going to get worse. And I was like, God, I'm glad I'm heading out because I was skirting the edge of Los Angeles.
And I will say this: on almost every traffic report I listen to, there are at least 2 motorcycle accidents a day that slow down traffic, which leads me to this. If you're living in LA and you hear this on the news every day, why would you own a motorcycle in LA?
Well, I don't know why you would take one up on the freeways. I would stick to the side streets as much as possible. You're gonna survive a lot easier. It may take you longer to get there, but trust me, it's a better way of going.
Well, what I took away from it was if I ever live in LA, I will not have a motorcycle. But anyway, so yeah, if you're actually looking for a decent radio station, definitely recommend KOST.
There you go.
Good station right there. And it's not very often I'm going to recommend a radio station, so.
That's true. Most radio these days suck.
Yes. Yes,
So
I was
anyway,
actually very surprised that there was one that I liked that wasn't just a satellite radio station.
Right.
So that, as far as Netflix picks goes, I think we pretty much cover it with the Yule log, and there's a lot of Christmas movies on Netflix.
There's a ton of Christmassy stuff. Go watch it with your family. Family, friends, whoever you're spending the holidays with. Go watch it, and enjoy the Christmas time, with someone. Don't sit at home alone.
No.
You know,
Um,
even if you think you don't have have an option, find an option. Go somewhere for Christmas. Be with someone. Find someone else who's lonely and spend it with them.
or hell, Denny's is open. IHOP is open. Go hang out with the waitresses. They're probably really depressed to be working on Christmas anyway.
That's a good point. So anyway, so I guess that's it.
Yeah. Obviously, you can see my Christmas tree behind me, or our Christmas tree, since you'll be over here soon.
That's right. That's
Um,
because I don't put up decorations here. I don't see the point. I never spend Christmas at home. I'm always somewhere else. I either go and see my mom and her family, or Dad and his family. So so this year I'm spending the Christmas with Dad and Scylla, and we're gonna have a good time.
and my mama.
Well, yes, 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 and your mom.
We have the Christmas tree. We have the stockings hung by the chimney with care. And we have our kitty's Christmas gift over here, which is 6 feet tall. Uh, so
That's
yeah.
a whole lot of catnip.
No, let me see if I can turn it so you can see it.
Oh, it's a new tree. Neat.
Yeah, and Sydney loves it.
I guess.
Bounce loves it, but he doesn't show much emotion, so he's kind of like, whatever. But you can tell when he doesn't think you're looking, he likes it.
So yes, go spend the holidays with someone that you love. I'm spending Christmas with my family. Go spend Christmas with your family or your friends. Don't sit at home alone.
No. And
I was alone last Christmas. Y'all came and visited. I was in the hospital last Christmas. Y'all came and visited for a little while, and that was great, and I love y'all for it. But it sucked to be laying there in the hospital, not knowing what's wrong with you. Am I dying or something? And not having anybody there.
yeah. So,
But
well, you don't have to worry about that this year because in a few hours
right.
you'll be here.
That's right. So thank you all for listening and watching for the last however many years we've been doing this. 2013, and for Jackalopes of Fire, 2013 was a very good year, and here's hoping 2014 is just as good, if not better, and here's hoping it's a better one for me in general. So,
and we wish you all a very safe and happy holidays and Merry Christmas, whatever holiday you may be celebrating.
Whatever holiday it may be, Merry Christmas to you, and we'll see you in the new year. Be looking for JoF TV probably first weekend of the new year, if I had to guess. But no promises. Merry Christmas, everybody. Stay safe. Oh, if you're drinking, get a designated driver.
Please don't drink and drive.
Do not drink and drive. This time of year, it's a big deal. Don't do it this year. Have somebody that's going to stay sober to drive you around, especially if you're going to go look at holiday lights or something like that, because you know that there's going to be little kiddies out there looking at those lights too. Stay safe. Stay sober. If you're going to drink, have someone that is sober drive you.
And I want to really point out, being the designated driver means no drinking at all.
Right, not even a drop. That's having one drink is not being a designated driver. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Exactly.
So make sure your designated driver stays sober. If you cannot get a designated driver, call a cab, and then check him, make sure he's sober.
But yeah, don't
stay
drink
where
and
you
drive.
Are. Yeah, don't drink and drive no matter what. It's not worth it. It really isn't. But anyway, Merry Christmas. We love you all, and we'll see you in the new year.
Merry Christmas.